you purchase the property, you should have something called a seller's warranty, which is basically upon you signing that contract, the seller will ensure electrical, plumbing and gas are all going to be in working order, usually at the final inspection or at settlement. What we like to see is that there needs to be a remedy thereafter. So a lot of contracts we see simply just state the seller warrants all electrical, plumbing and gas will be in working order. Okay. It's like taking a promise from someone that you don't know.
Yeah, and what does electrical really mean? Does that cooker, extractor fans, how
things excluded, not included, what's in that kind of thing. So we have a clause that we love to sort of have a chat to people about to sort of say, just make sure that it covers all these points and that if there is an issue, what that remedy is. So whether it is that...
So I hate this word, specificity.
Yes.
All right? Specificness.
Exactly.
You have to really put some effort into laying out this.
Exactly, and I think it seems as well, sometimes it's like, oh, well, that's obvious or that's assumed. Well, you just can never assume.
But it's not though.
You're buying a property from someone you don't know, and with people that have been living in or maybe not living in the property that may not have worried them that the hot water in the laundry doesn't work, but that's obviously going to bother you.
Do you think that it might be a confidence question that the buyers are like, oh geez, I don't really want to ask the seller for these things.
Correct.
Because
it is very much so.
I might lose out on, especially in a market, where are we now?
Oh my gosh.
May 21, it's busy, Perth market's busy, right? So there is a fear of missing out.
There is definitely 100%.
Or I better not ask for them to be clear about the electric gate and that must be working.
It's one of the single biggest things you're going to do in your life is purchase a property.
Yeah.
You want to make sure...
And maintenance expensive.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that you're buying a property, having seen it once, maybe for a 15-minute home open. Yeah. You've got no idea about it. So having that clause in there is really important. Just to make sure that, if something isn't working, you have a fix or a remedy as to what it is that's going to happen. Okay. So we like to sort of see that the seller will fix it within 1 day of settlement, seller can re-inspect, or the quote will be provided and the money is given to the purchaser, so then they can make those fixes and changes to their level, as opposed to someone who's exiting a property that may not necessarily care who they get to fix that problem.
Now this is, there's also a fear of missing out. There's a fear of paying for service.
Yes.
Okay, how much is this going to cost me?
Yes,
all right,
exactly.
So if someone were to engage you as a settlement agent, which I recommend you do because you're shit hot, what's included in your fee? Is that kind of initial advice?
Yeah, so we love speaking to people. We don't charge for that because at the end of the day, what we see is that you're going to have a great understanding of what it is that you're doing. Yeah. Then you're in the process, and it makes our job easier because we're not having to explain to you 3 days before settlements we're not going to have to explain to you 3 days before settlement that these things aren't included in your contract. So a lot of times you have a building inspection, a termite inspection, they can come out at 50 pages for some of the older properties.
Really? Wow. Okay.
A lot of those things are maintenance items. If you're aware of that from the get-go, you're not going to be upset that I'm telling you that the 50 items are not contractually obligated to be fixed. You're already informed and educated about to expect those things, to expect that there may be issues with the home. It's not a brand new home, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you just got to know this stuff up front.
Yeah.
Best to be, forewarned is forearmed.
Yes.
Okay. But also what I find is that, and Hannah touched on this before, is that the stress levels are through the roof when purchasing a family home. Investment properties are a little bit different. It's more clinical.
Yeah.
It's more clinical.
Exactly.
But if you're buying a home and you're about to lay 800, 900, 1.5 million plus for a home, which is pretty easy to do in Perth.
Yes.
The more knowledge that you have up front and the more you've been educated up front, the lower the stress levels.
Yeah, correct, exactly.
Because you know
what's going on, you know the steps and the processes of how it all works. It's not sort of, you're not going in going, what happens next? What do I do now? What's happening? We've already had the chat. Yeah. We've discussed the contract. We've made sure that, the contract is what it is that you're expecting. We may chat to you and you go, oh yeah, obviously. But we have a lot of people that just go, I didn't know that. Yeah. So, the building inspections only cover your principal, the residential dwelling. Not anything outside of that.
Got you. Okay.
So pergolas, patios, garages,
right?
Nothing like that.
Didn't know that.
Especially if you're purchasing a house that maybe has a granny flat or a really large old workshop.
That's not included.
It's not included in the standard REWA conditions. So
did you know this? I didn't know this.
No, there's a box you can add that in though, which is a lot of people don't realise that. And like I said, in the heat of the moment, the stress, the anxiety, the FOMO, they're just signing things up to say, yep, I'm happy with that.
And the agent's pushing.
Yeah, exactly.
Love the agents, okay. We've got some mutual love going on, but we understand that it is a pressured environment.
Correct. It's how they get those sales in, is that sort of that, I've got an offer over here, I've got an offer over there.
But also there are 5 other people
almost
interested in the
definitely.
property. So this comes back again, get the advice up front from the professional so that you can go into a transaction fully educated, eyes wide open, you understand what's going on. Then you don't have to run around like headless chicken trying to find a good settlement agent after the fact. You can have someone review the contract. You can look at the title and the plans as well.
Yep. When we do get an inquiry about a contract review as such, so obviously we don't provide legal advice, just recommendations.
Okay.
It's essentially just we look at the property on the real estate ad. We make sure that what's included is on that contract and just have that initial chat with you. And we don't charge for that because, like I said, it just makes the whole process stress-free.